Yooka-Laylee is, at its core, an average, albeit flawed game. I took a look at Yooka-Laylee shortly after it was released and again around a year after its release. In that time, the developer Platonic Games did make strides to allow the game to be more playable. However, in the end, the changes were not enough to elevate this game above being a middling platformer. As you have likely heard ad nauseum, Yooka-Laylee was a major kickstarting success by developer Platonic Games. Although Platonic Games was a new company, it was made up of industry veterans who originally worked at Rare, Rare being best known for their SNES hit series Donkey Kong and N64 hit series Banjo-Kazooie and Conker's Bad Fur Day, though they now are owned by Microsoft. Yooka-Laylee was championed as being the spiritual successor of Banjo-Kazooie and 3D mascot platformers in general. I must preface this review by saying that I have not played Banjo-Kazooie in nearly 20 years and don't really have any strong memories of it. All I can remember is that I rented it for a weekend from Blockbuster and that you went up steep slopes by having the bird run up them. So it's unlikely I will be blinded by nostalgia when reviewing this game. I should also mention that I did not buy into any of the hype for this game surrounding its Kickstarter, as again, I was not a Banjo-Kazooie fan. So while playing this game, I never actually felt burned for backing it. With that said, let's get to it. Yooka-Laylee follows a simple story. An evil corporation run by a bee, capital B, finds out one particular book has the power to alter the universe. Obviously, the evil corporation wants this power and implements a plan to suck up every book in the world. One of the main protagonists, Laylee, owns this book, and as it is being sucked away, the pages, or pages as they are referenced to in this game, escape the book, and it is your job to collect them all to stop capital B's plan. In doing so, you will explore 5 separate worlds in one hub world. Each of these worlds can be expanded in size by spending a certain number of pages. I actually like this mechanic and enjoyed seeing what would be added to the world. I have seen some reviewers wishing for more worlds, but I think 5 was the right number, as towards the end of the game I was starting to get fatigued with the worlds. All of the worlds were basic but well designed, with the exception of the hub world, Hivory Towers. The hub world is large, and originally it had no signs to point you in the direction of the next world. I found it to be a chore to get through and ended up wandering aimlessly trying to figure out where to go, as I could not remember what shortcut led to where. Fortunately, the developers did include signs in an update which made the hub world much easier to traverse. After the update, I do not have as much of a complaint with the hub world, other than I think it is too large and they should have included more shortcuts to make traversal to each of the world's areas a bit simpler. I was a pretty big fan of the art design of Yooka-Laylee. I think all of the characters are distinct and generally well done. You will run into a fair bit of characters as you attempted to collect the pages, and their character models fit the personalities that they are portrayed as having. Other than that, Yooka-Laylee looks like a much more polished N64 platformer. They do not have extremely detailed textures, but I don't think that is the art style that they were going for. They were going for cartoony, and I think they nailed it. Sound design, on the other hand, was more of a mixed bag. I really enjoyed the soundtracks for each of the worlds. The Tribal Stack Tropics theme song still gets stuck in my head sometimes. Additionally, Yooka and Laylee make appropriate noises for their moves as you go through the world. What really hurts the sound design is the voice acting, or maybe I should say the lack of voice acting. Anytime any of the characters in the games speak, they just make grunting noises. These noises are grating and so annoying that I would mute my game, especially on longer bits of dialogue. Platonic did later add a feature to automatically mute all of the voice acting, which I implemented immediately. However, I do not know why they thought these grunting noises were a good idea in the first place. I cannot imagine this gut-through testing without anyone saying, "Hey, this is really annoying, maybe we should rethink this." Generally, I would not be as nitpicky about something like this, but it's that bad. On top of that, the games start off with an opening scene that is long enough to have the noises rub the player the wrong way before they have even touched the gameplay. The actual gameplay of Yooka-Laylee itself was one of its stronger suits, though it still can be aggravating. I had a blast exploring the worlds once I unlocked all of the abilities. While the enemies are simple to defeat and your initial attacks are basic, as you go through the game, you unlock abilities from the NPC called Trouser Snake. This Trouser Snake joke seemed to get a lot of flack from other reviewers, but I thought it was humorous. Unfortunately, some of the abilities that you unlock with Trouser are much easier to control than others. One of the first movement abilities you obtain is the Reptile Roll. This move has Laylee rolling on top of Yooka like a ball. The problem is that doing so makes Yooka much harder to control. Pair this with the horrendous camera, which I will expound upon later, and using this ability can be a chore. The first boss fight revolves around using the Reptile Roll, and it's rough. The entirety of this fight hinges upon the fact that you do not actually have to move with the Reptile Roll. Laylee can actually stand still, but the game never mentions this. In fact, every other instance of using the Reptile Roll involves you trying to go as quickly as possible in races or up slopes, never once having the player assume they should see if they can stand still. While this may seem like a dumb complaint, it would have been easy enough to include a note somewhere to avoid this confusion. The main draw of Yooka-Laylee is that it is a collectathon. You have to collect quills, pages, atoms, and power extenders to 100% the game. The problem is, these items were not all placed in the most optimized way. Quills were spread out haphazardly, and if you missed some of them, good luck finding them. While you do have access to a collectible power, I do not believe it originally located quills and only helped you find pages. To obtain most of the pages, you will be tasked with a variety of challenges, most of which involve using your abilities. Other pages are locked behind boss fights, transformations, cart levels inspired by Donkey Kong, or arcade games. While playing Yooka-Laylee, I sometimes did not feel like I was playing a unified game with a vision, but instead a bunch of mini-games each placed in separate areas. Just to give you an idea of how many different mini-games there are, here's a cross-section of some of the tasks you need to complete to get pages. Find all 5 ghostwriters, collect all quills in a level, beat level boss, complete time trial races, solve puzzles, beat Cardos Minecart, find a collectible play coin for Rexstro's Arcade, then beat Rexstro's Arcade twice, complete a race against NPCs, find a collectible Molecool to activate a transformation, then find the specific pagey for that transformation, complete fetch quests, find pieces of a pagey, enemy rushes, shooting challenges, and platform challenges. These mini-games were hit or miss. I was not a fan of the Rexstro's Arcade games as their gameplay was completely different than the rest of the game. You get one pagey for beating it, and then you have to play it again to beat a high score. If you get a high score on your first attempt, it does not count towards the high score pagey, so you have to complete each of the Rexstro's Arcade games twice. I found most of the Rexstro's Arcade games tedious to the point of annoyance, specifically the ones located in Tribal Stack Tropics, Capital Casino, and Glitter Galaxy. Cartus's minecart sections are similarly out of place, but as you only had to complete them once for the pagey, I did not find them as obtrusive or aggravating. Their inclusion also made more sense as an homage to Donkey Kong. I enjoyed the platforming minigames and think there should have been more of those, as this is a 3D platformer. Ultimately, you will be doing these minigames in every world, and even though these challenges are varied, they still get repetitive. Finally, I want to address the elephant in the room. As I briefly alluded to earlier, the camera for Yooka-Laylee is horrible. It is a testament to how far games have come that I have not actively disliked a game for its bad camera since the PlayStation 2 era. The camera in Yooka-Laylee is erratic and moves too quickly. Some challenges are made unnecessarily difficult solely due to the camera. Trying to locate a flying pagey while you are also flying and fighting the camera the whole time does not make for a fun challenge. A good camera in a game is underappreciated until you experience a bad camera. Playing Super Mario Odyssey between starting and finishing Yooka-Laylee was eye-opening in regards to a lot of the things that Yooka-Laylee did poorly in comparison, but the most glaring has to be the camera. The camera's insistence on always trying to be behind the main character model and its erratic behavior when it gets caught on a wall can be nausea-inducing. If I had to pick the worst thing about Yooka-Laylee, it would be the camera, hands down. Had Yooka-Laylee had even a decent camera, I would have been more likely to recommend this game. I do not think Yooka-Laylee could have chosen a worse year to release than 2017. There has been a lack of 3D mascot platformers for the better part of a decade, but 2017 saw a glut of them hit shelves. While Yooka-Laylee was released before the likes of Hat in Time and Super Mario Odyssey, it will inevitably be measured next to them. Critiquing Yooka-Laylee after playing Super Mario Odyssey is hard, as I don't want to criticize Yooka-Laylee for not being a game it was not trying to be. However, even on a technical level of execution, Yooka-Laylee is outclassed in almost every way. While I think the developers made smart choices to update the game to make it more enjoyable, those moves only elevated Yooka-Laylee from being below average to average. Ultimately, I rank Yooka-Laylee as a C-tier game.